In today's lesson, we're going to use a switch to make a multiple choice question. We're going to use a char just like we've used before, which just means we're accepting an A, B, C, D because we're doing a multiple choice. Let's go ahead and see out our question. I'm going to pick a question. I'm going to say, who is 007? All right, and then we also need to see out the answer choices. I'm going to start with, let's see, who could be 007? How about Homer Simpson? And notice that I'm not putting semicolons because I'm using one C out to see out all of this, even though I'm typing it on multiple lines. Homer Simpson, who else? What about Donald Trump? And we could also have Jason Bourne. And lastly, we'll say James Bond. All right, at this point, it's not much of a multiple choice question as far as answering it because we didn't give ourselves some letters. So we're going to type in A, B, C, and D. So now we should have a nice and easy question, and people should be able to type in the answer. But just so we're perfectly clear, we're going to go ahead and tell them to type in what we want. So we say, type the correct letter and then press enter. I'm going to toss quotes around it. And why not? We'll put another new line there. Okay, so now we have this question, but we need to deal with the answer. So we've declared a char answer. So we're going to take in their answer like that. And instead of using like an if to say, if you picked A, then you're wrong. If you picked B, then you're wrong. And anything like that. We're going to do something a little bit different so that we can provide different input for each one of them. We're going to use something called a switch. A switch is kind of like an if and an else if. So we have one category, one condition that is answer. And then our switch has different cases for that answer. So we have our first case would be if they pick A. And if they pick A, we're going to tell them, that's not right. Except we could tell them a little bit more helpful. We could say, Homer Simpson, you know what? Not right, but he would make an awesome secret agent. Next up, we have another case. So we're going to toss in a second case. And again, you want to notice when we're using chars, we're not using double quotes around our letters. So our second case is going to be Donald Trump. And this is definitely not right. It's not even close. Okay. Case C. I'm going to see out Jason Bourne. That's actually really close. And our last answer is our correct answer, and that's if they type in case D. And we want to tell them exactly. Okay. Now, we've got all of our answer choices, and then we have whether or not they are right. So we're giving a different message for each one. But in order to have a switch that runs appropriately, it checks the answer for each one of these cases. But between each case, it does check every single one. So we need to say, hey, if it's A, don't bother doing B. And what we're going to do right underneath A is we're going to put a break. And basically what a break says is, hey, we've already gotten our answer. We got what we wanted. And so now we don't need to run the rest of this switch. We can break out of this block of code. And that's going to help it organize a little bit better. The next thing we need to remember is that somebody could type in something different. What if they typed in F? Well, F's not an answer choice. So we could have a case F and we'd say that's not an answer choice. But instead, we're going to just have a default case. We say default. If they type in anything other than the above ones, we're going to see out that was not an answer choice. We don't need a break because that's already at the end of our switch. And a switch doesn't loop around, so we can just stop right there. All right, we're going to go ahead and build this, and if we're lucky, we build it perfectly the first time around. Okay, Control-Shift-B, so I did Control-Shift-B, which builds it, and it says ready. It's building right there. I'm going to open this up so you can see it. It says succeeded, then I'm going to do Control-F5, which builds it without running the debugger. Who is 007? Homer Simpson, Donald Trump. I'm going to pick C, Jason Bourne, enter. Really close, but I obviously got it wrong. So I'm going to test it again because you should always test with a couple different options. I'm going to pick D, James Bond, exactly. Pressing the key to continue. The only thing I might add is I might add a little bit better spacing. I might add a little bit more detail on my correct answer. Maybe congratulate the user. But we've included something new here. In addition to using our chars, which are pretty new, we've also included a switch, which is another way we control it. It's kind of like an if and an else if, but a little bit neater when we have a lot of different cases, especially useful when we're using chars. I kind of like to use switch when we're using chars. The other thing is we included break statements. Now, the fun thing about break statements is they also work in an if clause. So if we have an if statement and we wanted to break out and not run the rest of it, we could just type a break and it would break right out of our block of code.